Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friday's live Q&A. I just posted a story to kind of remind you guys that every Friday I do this at 1 p.m. so that you guys have a chance to ask questions about anything regarding like spirituality. I mean, I don't. My French is a little bit. My French is a little bit rusty. I have to look up what bouffe means. Hold on a second. Oh, yes, I'm eating lunch. I'm definitely, this is the first meal I've had all day, so it's been really, it's been quite the morning as far as running errands and stuff. So thank you guys so much for being here. So yes, welcome to live Q&A. I've got this running on YouTube as well, which is where I host a lot of my coaching videos. I don't do coaching videos on Instagram because I mostly post just inspirational content and things about my life personally on my Instagram. That's always how I've kind of run my Instagram. It's very self-discovery focused. And then on YouTube, I've got my coaching videos, which comes out every Tuesday. So that is a free resource for you. Also, there is a free Monday newsletter, which if you're on YouTube, you can go down into the description box of any of my videos, and it's got my free meditation. It's a 10-minute meditation for Anapana, which is a technique that is just focusing on the breath here in this area of your nose. And that's free for you guys to use, to download, and then it signs you up automatically for the Monday newsletter, which goes out every single Monday. And I have free like resources in there as well. And there's also a free application for working with me as far as my Sacred and Divine Goddess program, as well as one-on-one sessions. So I just opened up one-on-one sessions for coaching so that it's open to males and females, because Sacred and Divine Goddesses is only for females. But yeah, welcome to live Q&A. That is all that I'm going to say for business stuff. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free. I am eating lunch. It's the first meal that I've had today. So I appreciate you guys being extremely graceful and understanding that I am feeding too. I am about 30 weeks and 3 days, I think, today, which is crazy. Hi, baby. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited that you're here. Yeah, so I'm really excited to talk about like boundaries and parenthood, because I posted a quiz on my stories last night on Instagram and had a pretty ridiculous amount of people answer. I feel like people are feel very strongly about certain aspects of parenthood and how to really navigate, you know, the legalities of parenthood, which is really interesting to me. It's given me a lot of insight on how to navigate my own situation, which, yay! Yummy. What are you having for lunch? If you guys are eating lunch right now too, pop in the chat. Let me know what you're eating. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm personally having some homemade penne pasta with mushrooms, lemon, chives, and zucchini, which is delicious. So good. Welcome to the live Q&A. Again, this is going to be every Friday. I post these live Q&As on my YouTube, and hello. And there's also, it's hidden. I don't post these lives on my Instagram feed, but if you go to my IGTV tab on my Instagram, you can go back and rewatch these videos in case there's a question that you really liked and wanted to kind of keep that answer for future reference. Those are all up there as well. Again, these live Q&As are for you guys to bring as much value to you as I possibly can. Hello from Missouri. Oh my gosh, yum. That's very French. A grilled ham and cheese sandwich. I wonder, there was someone here earlier who's speaking French. I can't remember what it's called in French, but it's like un sandwich de, what is it? I don't remember how to say ham. It's like ham and fromage or something like that. But my French is pretty rusty. I took French all the way through high school and again in college. So I know a little bit. I can pretty much understand what people are trying to say, but whenever like I'm speaking, it kind of is very muddled. Hello to everyone on YouTube. I see that there are a couple of people on here. If you guys have any questions, I just recently got out of my life and success coach training that included NLP, hypnotherapy, EFT, and time techniques, which I'm really excited to share more of in the coming weeks. But this week, I noticed that the topics that have been really coming to the surface, have been about like setting boundaries and, dealing with narcissistic relationships. And I think that this is probably something that a lot of people have experienced, either being, being exposed to people who have narcissistic tendencies, and also, just kind of healing from codependent relationships. I'm going to share with you guys, there's this book that really helped me. This is a totally it's not a resource that I recommend all the time, but this helped me a lot, especially if you guys have experienced a codependent relationship, numerous codependent relationships, because typically when we have experienced one kind of relationship, it's like a pattern that keeps coming up in our lives, right? So whether that's in intimate relationships, work relationships, or friend relationships, and I have experienced all of those things. But anyway, the book that I really recommend, that my coach who helped me with my boundaries and helped me with my narcissistic relationships recommended this book. I know this might be kind of backwards, but this book by Melody Beattie called Codependent No More. She also has a wonderful book that is like a daily meditation book called The Language of Letting Go, but I highly recommend this. For me, it spoke very true to me because I grew up in a super abusive alcoholic family. So there's a lot of references to like AA and alcoholism, which might not ring true for you necessarily, because obviously narcissism and narcissistic tendencies is a spectrum. The other thing is that I truly, don't believe that people are narcissists. I think that that's just a label. And, being a spiritual transformation coach, it's hard for me to really label anyone. I don't believe that people are their behaviors. And I think that there's truly a good person under all the really fucked up shit that they might do to you, right? Because it's just their conditioning that they have experienced through their life that causes them to act that way. And no, we're not responsible for how they act. Yes, it sometimes really hurts that they treat us that way, but I truly don't believe that anybody is a narcissist. I try not to label anyone as being anything, even if it's good or bad. I say that they have tendencies to do that. And I try to be really careful about that because our words are like spells. Our words are magic. So the more we label someone else that, the more we actually are saying that about ourselves. And it's a part of ourselves that we're unwilling to accept and love and forgive as well. So I try to be super mindful of that. Hopefully that resource helps you. I think it's really important to like just be self-aware. Yeah, this one is really, really good. I've like recommended this to a couple of friends who have gone through different narcissistic relationships. The other thing is like, you still have to protect yourself, right? Like your energy is sacred. Like you have this life force within you that is extremely it's precious, right? And it's that like inner child within us that's like wanted to be unconditionally loved at all costs. And sometimes when people have conditioning that is completely the opposite of that, it puts that life force at risk. And on the other side of the coin, like becoming safe and secure and like moving out of codependent tendencies also means that one day like you're able to tolerate other people's narcissistic behaviors a lot easier, and you don't have to run away or hide or protect yourself so much. You can stay open, but of course that is a journey within itself. So I feel that is the particular type of person that I like working with, because that's the journey that I've personally taken, which is, having experienced many narcissistic relationships, narcissistic codependent relationships, and moving out of that into secure and safe relationships where you can communicate, you can set boundaries, you can discern whether or not that person is willing and able to see you in that light at the moment. It means nothing, bad about that person if they're not able to receive, but it does mean like you're more able to just kind of be like, okay, cool, like I'm sending you love. I'm not going to tolerate that kind of behavior in my space, but like that doesn't make me love you any less. And I think to get to that point takes a lot of self-awareness and ability to just be like, okay, like whatever I'm like really triggered by what this person is doing is also something within me that I haven't fully integrated and accepted and forgiven in myself yet, right? But it's all a journey, y'all. Like this does not happen overnight. It's not like, okay, yeah, suddenly I'm just like totally fine. Oh my gosh, yeah, girl, I totally understand. I invite you to, if you have gone through narcissistic codependent relationships and, are still kind of battling the pain that comes up, I highly recommend that you apply to my Sacred and Divine Goddess application. That's in the link in my bio and my Instagram. It's totally free. Once you fill out that application, I'll go through it to see if we're a good fit, and then we can schedule a free intro call so that you can, so that we can kind of see if the techniques that I've learned and the modalities that I have in my tool belt, you kind of get over that a little bit faster than if you were to just do it alone. I have noticed that something that has helped me, the two things that have helped me the most in really recovering from narcissistic and codependent relationships are having a coach. So coach or therapist, I have a therapist and I have a coach. And also having community in which you can share your story, because a lot of the time, a lot of our healing can be taken place when other people see us fully without any means of trying to fix us. Hello, welcome. Or, just having a safe place to be able to share your story. Because sometimes, like, especially for me, I hold a lot of like energy here in my throat and in my heart. They're very, very directly correlated for me. So it's important for me to share my story, which is why I share a lot of my story on my Instagram. That's why I coach and do these live videos, because it helps me too, right? Like I've always said that I don't like to be called a yoga teacher. I feel more like a guide because I'm always a student. Like I am always constantly learning from you guys as much as you guys are learning from me. And that's just the energy exchange that I like to have in my life with everyone that I have in my life. So I hope that that's something that you guys resonate with. And, you know, if you guys need help, obviously that application is open in my link in bio for Instagram. Yeah, and we can set up an intro call and all that stuff. So if you guys have any questions about narcissistic, codependent relationships, please feel free to ask. It's really something that I feel kind of like an expert at this point. I think I've actually put in about 10,000 hours of like really understanding myself and learning my behaviors, my ability to like communicate my needs and discern whether or not someone is, you know, able to be a safe space. Hello, friend. It's so nice to see you again. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So excited to see you all here. Again, this always is on Fridays at 1 p.m. This is one of the many free resources that I have to help you guys because I know not everybody can afford coaching. I remember when I started on my journey, I knew I wanted to get a coach, but didn't have the financial means to do that. But I will say, like, having a coach really propels so much of your healing. And as you heal and start to decondition a lot of the stuff that you've been through, manifestation becomes a lot easier. So what I teach is spiritual transformation, which means, you know, kind of transcending the pain of your past and moving more into creating the life of your dreams through manifestation. But you can't really skip the first half of it. Like, you can't manifest things if you have these internal and energetic blocks, like, you know, holding on to past pain. There's a book that I'm reading right now called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he goes into the science behind why your energetic field becomes blocked by negative emotions like anger, fear, shame, guilt, hurt. Those are like the lowest vibrating emotions that your body experiences, and our bodies hold on to so much of that. Do I believe in pranic healing? So I think that I don't, because prana is like your life force. Like, your life force doesn't need to be healed at all. The life force that is within you is pure bliss, and it's pure joy, and it's pure love. Hello, welcome. So when you're doing healing, you're not really doing healing to anything that has to do with your innate, like, nature, like your soul, your prana, your chi. Like, those are all different names for the same thing. What you're really healing is like the ego, the external little me that has nothing to do with your true self. It just is a shell that your energy body has created over time to protect you. And that is something that we dig deep into in my program, Sacred and Divine Goddesses. And also that I dig deep into with my one-on-one sessions. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Like, I don't believe that your prana needs to be healed, because prana, chi, soul, life force, true self, those idioms are the same. Like, they're all synonyms for the same thing. So yeah. Thank you for asking that question. I appreciate that. What else did I say I wanted to talk about? Oh, so yesterday I How does chi work? Chi is the same as prana. So it's like it's the awareness. It's that like beingness that you are. It's like free flowing energy that is always there. It's just a matter of like, is your vessel open? And like our bodies are the vessel, and our bodies are also what hold on to a lot of trauma and a lot of negative issues that we've experienced from the past. And if you go deeper into like Eastern philosophy, like yogic philosophy, a good metaphor for explaining it is like the chakra system. So there are typically 7 chakras that people talk about, but there's actually way more than 7 chakras in the body. And so for chi, the way it works is it flows through all of the chakras in your body so long as those chakras aren't blocked. And so a lot of the work that I do is there's surface level healing where we go from the energy body down to the skin and then down into the soul, the internal true you. Hopefully that makes sense. It's hard for me to explain a lot of these terms because it's such a deep spiritual topic, and like the deeper you go into spirituality, the more you realize that like words can never really explain exactly what it is, if that makes any sense. It's very like Buddhists believe that like the moment you try to put words on it, it's not the same thing. And like Hindus believe like you don't even talk about it, basically. So it's hard to explain, but I will recommend reading like the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, which is really a really good book for kind of talking about what chi is. He is like one of the first recorded Zen masters in history. That one's a really good book. But for more layman's terms spirituality, I highly recommend Eckhart Tolle. If you go into my Instagram, there's a highlight that says free coaching resources, and it has all the books that I recommend. And one of the first books, I think the first book actually, is The Power of Now. There's also A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. He does a really good job of using English to describe what I'm talking about. And I actually read A New Earth before I read The Power of Now, but The Power of Now is more like for someone who is just getting into spirituality, maybe going through an ego death or dark night of the soul. It's really good for just kind of pointing out spirituality through the, typical things that humans feel that they suffer through. Let me think of another book. I have a bunch of books actually. Let me see here. Yeah, another book that I recommend, it's kind of more like layman's terms. It's called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which is actually, it's very small. It's like, I don't think it's even 100 pages long, but it looks like this. And it just talks about the 4 agreements that will allow you to, live a more liberated life free from suffering, because we all are living in this world of duality, which is the dream state that they talk about. So, yeah, that's something I recommend. But back to the quiz that I put up yesterday. So there were a lot of people, there were like 100 people who participated in the quiz that I put up, which is all about like your beliefs around parenting and, how to navigate being a single parent. and like how to deal with the other parent. Oh, that book is called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. That one's really good. I know he has another book. It's really good as well, but there's that highlight in my Instagram highlight reel has the picture of the book and all that stuff as well. Yeah, it was really interesting to see everybody's opinions about parenting as a single parent. A lot of people who answered were actually people that I know who are married, who are not single. So it was interesting to also have their point of view because just like, I don't know, like it was all across the board. I think the very first question I asked was like, if you didn't want kids, you weren't planning on having kids, but then you got pregnant or got someone pregnant, like would you step up or would you run away? And surprisingly, there were a lot of people who said that they would run away. And I'm like, okay, cool, good to know. That's kind of where my ex is at, and that's totally fine. I mean, like, I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer, but it was overwhelming as far as the number of people who said that they would run away. And that just goes to show, I think, how much codependent relationships kind of are ingrained in our society. Oh yeah, that book looks really good. That's on my reading list for sure. No, I haven't read that book yet. It's on my reading list for sure. I'm reading Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and also Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday, who lives in Austin. He's really awesome. He has another book called Stillness Speaks, which I read last year, which is really great. Yeah, I've been reading a lot. It's weird because I actually used to think but I hated reading. But I actually love reading so much. Like I can read a couple of books at the same time. Hello, welcome. Yeah, so back to the parenting stuff. The second question was like, would you file for child support, or would you just let this person do whatever they want to do, and just kind of like live your own life? And this is something that I have been not struggling with, but you know, obviously sitting with, because this is very true to me. I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer. I think for me, I told my ex that I wouldn't come after him because like I wanted him to have autonomy, but I also know that if I didn't go through the child support system, that I would be enabling a lot of the narcissistic and codependent behavior that I don't agree with. And that's just my preference personally. I know that there are a lot of people who believe otherwise because, sorry, my roommate is texting me, so it's a little bit, let me turn off all my notifications really quick. Okay. Yeah, so I know that it's different for some people. I have a lot of friends who were just like, yeah, no, like my baby daddy like left and haven't heard from him and all this stuff. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think for me, I just really believe that people need to take accountability, and like karma is real, and whether that comes through me or not, I believe that it's going to happen either way. So even if I didn't pursue it, like there would be something that happened, but I have to take, you know, precautions as far as making sure that my kid is taken care of and also knows who his parents are. And I think that just comes down to what your values and what your purpose is in life. For me, it's very much like, I believe that karma is real, and I believe that that the universe will always teach people the lessons that need to be learned to help them, you know, align to their soul and align to the highest self that they are, which is what they were born as. And yeah, that is something that is really important to me. The third question in that quiz was, I think it had something to do with, like, do you believe that people can change? And again, this comes down to this topic of narcissistic behaviors and codependent behaviors. Like, I truly believe that people are not their behaviors, and my ex can probably disagrees with me completely. Like, we just had a conversation about this. He's like, actions speak louder than words and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, no, that's definitely true. And you know, your actions over time just tell me like how deeply ingrained your patterns are. And I don't believe that people are patterns. I don't believe that people are behaviors. I believe that people are light. Even like the most narcissistic, fucked up people. Like, I mean, off the top of my head, like the CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, like that dude doesn't give a fuck about anybody. I think there's a heart in there somewhere, but you know, like there are people out there who really, truly like behave in such a way where they don't give a shit about other people, and they care more about the way that they look to the world, and that to me never works out. And I think that's because I have been in that position where I cared so much about how I was perceived. Like, you know, like building my Instagram, I was so dead set on becoming welcome. I was so dead set on becoming a yoga teacher, influencer person who, you know, got paid to travel and meet other influencers, and you know, just kind of was seen as an expert in that field. And I pursued that really fucking hard. And what happened was that I started to meet other yoga influencers, and then I started to see who they were, like in person. Like I would meet them in person, right? And I also knew what I had thought about them. Like I put them on this pedestal in my mind so that when I met them, the person that I had in my mind and the person that was in front of me, like, did not match up at all. And for me, like, a huge value that I believe in is like, are you authentic? Like, can you be the same person all the way through? Can you be vulnerable about your flaws? Can you be graceful in that other people like are going through their humanness and their shit all the time? Can you understand that, you know, like people want to see what they want to see, right? Like they see what they want to see. Your reality is like what your internal reality is. And I met a lot of influencers where it just didn't match up. I was like, okay, so like it was a mirror for me to be like, okay, how am I being online and then offline? And I noticed that I was not being authentic all the way. Like I would put a face out into the world hoping that people would see me in a particular light, and I would share these stories of my past in hopes of people seeing me as an expert, right? Like there was still like an external validation that I was seeking. And that was a big wake-up call for me. And I will tell you, I've worked for 3 millionaires, 2 billionaires. I've met every single influencer that I've ever followed on Instagram. Like it is not what you imagine it to be. Like every single person that you see on Instagram that's an influencer, like they're definitely people, and they're just as human as you. Like, there's no reason to put them on a pedestal. And I think honestly that's also why I have been given those experiences in my life. Like, it's just to show me, like, it doesn't matter how high you go, like, these people are still human. Like, the money, the fame, all of that doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't at all. Like, what matters is, like, are you authentic through and through? Is the person that I see online, hey Kike, is the person that I see online the same person that I see offline? And, like, are you that same person 100% of the way? And I think for me, I truly believe that I am, but it's also taken a lot of being just kind of brutally honest with myself, radical honesty about, like, yeah, girl, like, you were fucking egoic and egotistical at the very beginning. And I don't blame myself. I don't shame myself for anything that I did in the past. And also, like, I give myself grace. Like, it's important to love and accept who you are in all forms. And, like, that's part of what being authentic and vulnerable is. And I think that as you heal, this is where those narcissistic and codependent relationships start to heal as well. So let's talk about what, like, being codependent really means. Because narcissism is also, like, narcissism and codependency are, like, the two opposite sides of, like, one duality spectrum, right? And I talk a lot about duality in my content. Hello, welcome. So codependent tendencies look a lot like people pleasing, like not being able to say no, like not feeling safe in being able to speak your truth, feeling like you're always stepping on other people's toes. What else? If you guys can think of anything else, like, definitely feel free to chime in. And then on the opposite side of the coin, oh, it's being, like, so selfless that you completely lose yourself in, like, another person or a different situation. Whereas narcissism is the opposite, where it's, like, so fucking selfish that you don't give a shit about anybody else. And I think people can go back and forth. Like, I have been on the narcissistic side, and I've also been on the codependent side, and that's all one spectrum of duality, which I like to call the codependent spectrum. So to get out of that, it's important to notice that those are just behaviors. They're not, like, who you are. They're not who that person is who, like, did those things to you. This is all really what I teach in my coaching, is, like, how to recognize that, like, you're not those behaviors, you're not the thoughts, you're not the forms that people identify with and live their lives through. Hello, welcome. Yeah, I don't really know if I'm using my phone that much. I like to lose my phone, honestly. Like, I'm pretty intentional about the technology time that I use. Really recommend it. That's really good for setting boundaries as well. Oh, and also getting out of that duality spectrum, you start to learn how to set boundaries for yourself. And boundaries they're fluid. Like, they don't have to be permanent at all. It's just a matter of, like, where you're at in your journey to make sure that you're protecting yourself and your energy. Like, so many of us, like, if you're codependent, or, like, if you have codependent tendencies and really identify with that, your energy is always going out. And then for narcissists or narcissistic tendencies, the energy, you're always sucking energy. Like, that's what an energy vampire is called. So to really heal, you have to manage your energy and become an expert at managing your energy, which means it's not going out and you're not taking too much in. There's a healthy exchange of energy with people, and you have like kind of a bubble around you where you're just like, I see that, like I see your energy. Maybe it's taking a little bit too much from me, and I'm setting a boundary where I'm not going to allow that, but I still love you. Boundaries are all about really reinforcing and embodying unconditional love for yourself first, and then that way you can share it with others in a healthy way instead of constantly being selfless and constantly being fucking selfish as hell, Yes, I do write my thoughts. I have been journaling pretty consistently for a couple years now. I write a lot. I read a lot. Yeah, self-care is really important to me. That's one of the pillars that I teach in my program. So my program and my philosophy about spirituality, about healing these codependent narcissistic tendencies, is it all comes down to mindset, movement, and maintenance. And just to kind of go over that, your mindset, and again, all of these things are just like, these are the external you. These are all the things to like manage your ego self, so that your true self, the light that is within you and that's within everybody, that is one with every single person, can shine through more. But it comes down to mindset, movement, and maintenance. So mindset is all about training your mind to be a servant instead of your mind being the master. Like one of the best quotes I've ever heard is that your mind is a wonderful servant, but a horrible master, because your mind is like always in duality. Like that's just the way that it works. So the more that you can detach from that, notice the thoughts, notice how you are not the mind, you're the awareness behind the mind. Like you can, like I'm sure that you guys have had moments where you're like, why did I have that thought? I'm like, who's thinking that? Like that is the awareness, the person who is seeing the questions happening, not the questioner. That's who you are. But working on your mindset allows you to separate the two and also get really good at using the mind as a tool instead of the mind using you, which is where everybody lives out of. Like I would say 95% of our population, or maybe even higher, let's say maybe 98% of our human population live out of the mind. Movement is pretty self-explanatory. Our bodies hold on to energy. They hold on to all the trauma that we've had, all the experiences that we had. Like everything that you've ever experienced is held in your body. A good book for this to explain it is called The Body Keeps a Score. I can't remember who the author is. It's like Bessel Van Zandt or something like that. But that's another book on my Instagram highlight. Yeah, I can't remember who the author is, but definitely look on my Instagram so that you can read that. No, I haven't read As a Man Thinketh. I haven't heard of that before, actually. But I'll look into it. I have a lot of books on my to-read things to read list. Oh, and then maintenance. Maintenance is like self-care, like all of the daily things that you do to maintain your sovereignty around your soul. So that includes like self-care practices, journaling, connecting to others, human touch, listening to music, what your diet is, whether that is food, content, social media. It's really like, how do you maintain yourself? So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been 45 minutes already. What? That's crazy. Yeah, if you guys want to work with me, I have opened my calendar to work with people one-on-one instead of going through my program. My program is a lot more extensive. So I understand that like not some people don't have the time or the financial ability to go through it, but it is available to you. All you have to do is apply. On my YouTube, there's like all the free resources that you can use, like my free meditation. There's a free Facebook group. There are my free videos on YouTube that post every Tuesday. And then if you want to work with me for coaching, I have one-on-one sessions, and I specialize in, excuse me, I don't want to choke, in yoga and meditation, NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, EFT, time techniques. So it's really like reprogramming the subconscious mind. And also making very clear that you are not your mind. So it's creating that separation between who you are and your mind, and then giving you tools on how to make sure that your mind is working for you. And from that point, you'll start to see everything in your life really come to fruition as far as everything that you've ever desired. So manifestation is just a byproduct of this work that I do. But especially if you have been dealing with a lot of tendencies from the past, or maybe you have set goals and like you never reach them, this type of work that I do is going to be really good for you. So highly, highly recommend that. Okay, so this person says, according to me, our mind works in opposites. Yes, exactly. Your mind lives in duality, which is exactly what I'm saying. It's not who you are. Who you are is a person who can see the opposites happening. Like everything in the world can be seen through our mind as good or bad, light and dark. You know, too fast, too slow. It perceives time. Yeah, like our mind is what discerns things as the duality spectrum. Yes, comparison, duality, whatever you want to call it, same thing. Who you are is not that. It's the thing that's watching. You're the watcher. You're the observer. You're the witness. A lot of my teachers, I really like the way that they explain how who you are is the seat of the witness. Like you are always what is witnessing things happen in your life, right? But most of our world, like 98% of people, like I said, live through their mind. They live through judgment. They live through, you know, the identity entity. Like when you ask someone who they are, most people will say, I am my name, and I'm from this place, and I have a family that did this, and this is my job, and you know, I believe this is right and this is wrong. Like that, all of that is mind. It's all mind stuff. Who you are is the same as source energy, and that has no duality. There is no right and wrong. Everything is inherently neutral. Everything that you perceive will be perceived differently by someone else based on their conditioning and their mind. And that's why it's important to discern that you are not your mind, because when you come back to that truth, right, and you come back to the fact that who you are is none of those identities, none of those duality comparison entities, you're left with so much abundance, and you tap into what people call the quantum field. This is what scientists call quantum theory. And it's, you know, I can go deeper into this, but I don't think I want to, honestly. Usually people live in the idea concepts are right and wrong. They live through their mind. 98% of people live through their mind, 100%. And the more you go deeper into these practices, you'll find the easier it is to discern how far along people are in their journey. And also you'll start to notice people fall away from your life. Like, it's just a normal thing. Like, there's this one quote I think I posted on my Instagram one time. It was like, the higher your vibe, the smaller your tribe, right? Because, like, not everybody wants to wake up. Most people are so fucking asleep. They refuse to look at themselves. Hello. And personally, I've found that most women wake up faster because we have this divine feminine energy within us, but that's not always true. I don't like to generalize, but I do believe that the majority of people that I see who, you know, are kind of on the same wavelength as me are typically women. I have met very safe and, like, spiritually awake men. I personally have never had a relationship with super woke men. I'm calling that in as far as a partner and also as just like friends. Like, I do have some safe men in my life, but I also just feel like I've always been an alien. Like, I've felt very weird most of my life because I've always been able to see past people's, like, bullshit since I was a little kid, which is why I feel so called to do this work. But yeah, you'll notice that as you ascend spiritually, the harder it is to truly, like, relate exactly to people. Like, I have a handful of friends that I relate to, and I'm starting to see in my life that there are a lot more people who are being who are more on the same wavelength as I am, the same frequency, because we're all energetic beings. And yeah, that's a lot more woo-woo stuff. But you know, you perceive and attract into your life the frequency that you are. So if you're not really awake, like, you're gonna attract people who are not really awake. And also, like, if you are awake and spiritually awakened, like, you're going to attract a lot more people to kind of test your tolerance and your wokeness. Like, I've found that there have been a lot more situations where in the past I would have acted in a certain way where maybe I would have gotten hurt or triggered or, you know, ran away or avoided the situation. And now I'm just like, that's interesting that, you know, I can notice that this is how I would normally act, and now I'm choosing a different way. And this is how you call in new realities, right? Like, manifestation is all about inner work. It's all about being able to, like, discern reality and truth from conditioning and bullshit. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to ask. We have about 5 more minutes. I love hanging out with you guys. I love being able to offer this platform for you to ask me any questions. Yeah, I've spent more than 10,000 hours on these topics. I've spent way more than fucking, like, I've spent so much money on getting to where I am now. And I truly believe that, like, none of that really means anything unless I'm able to share and teach and, you know, give that value back. I also appreciate you guys being so kind about me eating. I'm feeding myself and my child right now, so I'm happy about that. Again, if you'd like to work with me, there are free resources in my YouTube, they're in the description box, and then on my Instagram, if you go into my Instagram stories, I list out like what all the free resources are. It's free to apply to work with me. Obviously, working with me is not free because that's how I feed myself, and, you know, that's how I exchange energy. And I also believe that most people don't make change happen unless they're invested in it. And I've personally invested, gosh, like, oh my goodness, probably close to like 25 grand, like on myself, because I believe that that was valuable for me, and that's why I'm able to show up the way that I show up now. And it's completely worth it to me. So if you want to work with me, there is an application to work with me on both platforms, YouTube and Instagram. We've got a couple more minutes, so please feel free to ask me any questions. If you have thoughts, you share them. I'll be here for a few more minutes. Stefan asked, do you make a distinction between spirituality and health and wellness? So I really like this question because I actually started in the health and wellness field. Like, the very first certification that I did was become a personal trainer, because the very first love that I found was weightlifting. And it was during a time when I was still living with my family, who, if you don't know my story at all, like, I grew up in a super abusive alcoholic family, and lifting weights was my only way of getting away and kind of retreating into myself. But as I went deeper, that was just surface level. That was like me realizing and knowing that, like, when I moved my body, I felt better, right? But I didn't have the tools that I have now. Spirituality is like way, way, way past health and wellness. Like, the deeper you go into spirituality, being healthy and being well becomes a byproduct of your life. Like, it's so much easier to you know, have habits that mirror that wholeness that you become when you do go deeper into spirituality. Like, for me, I don't even have to think about lifting weights and doing yoga and eating healthy, because those are already habits that I do. Like, I don't really share that on Instagram because I believe that those are all. I'm not a surface level person, honestly. Like, I really don't like having surface level conversations with people. I can pretty much read people within 5 seconds. Like, I can see their auras now, which is something that you can practice also, by the way. This is like something I didn't believe that you could do. But the deeper that you go, the more heightened your awareness becomes, and the easier it is for you to really discern people. But yes, there is a huge distinction between spirituality and health and wellness, and also they're connected. And so this is the beauty of life as a human on this planet, is that we get to live dichotomy. Like, we are all separate because, like, our skin separates us, but we're also all one at the same time. Both of those things exist simultaneously. So, like, spirituality and health and wellness are two different things, and they're also the same thing. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answers your question. I go much more deeply into this in my coaching programs. And again, feel free to work with me. The application's free. But yeah, super good question. I really appreciate that. I'll take one more question. We're at an hour right now, and I still have like half a bowl of food to finish. But I do want to make sure that you guys have all your questions answered and, you know, feel supported in that way. And please know that this is going to happen every Friday at 1 p.m. Central. So, you know, if you can't afford working with me, there are a bunch of free resources, and there's these free coaching calls where I am here and present for you. And if there's any, you know, feedback on how you guys would like me to present information, let me know. But I am here for you, and I appreciate you guys so much. Yeah, I have so much love for every single one of you guys. I hope that if we ever cross paths in person, that I get to truly give you a hug and we get to connect, because that's what I thrive on. And yeah, thank you guys so much for just being present, for existing. I know that everything is happening in perfect timing. So this is not a mistake that you're here. So I guess to close out, I always like to take a couple of breaths together. Since we're hitting an hour now and I still haven't finished this food, my kid is like, Mom, I'm hungry. So let's go ahead and close this space together. Find a comfortable seat. Start to tuck your tailbone under, and notice that that naturally allows all the vertebrae in your spine to stack straight on top of the other. Roll those shoulders up towards your ears, and then pull the shoulder blades back and together down your back. And notice how that opens up the space in your heart, opens up the space in your ribs so that your lungs can expand. And we'll take 3 deep belly breaths, exhaling all the air out from our mouths. Inhale deeply into the nose and exhale out. Inhale. Exhale, empty it all out. Inhale, fill up last time. Exhale out. Feel free to be in this energy as long as you'd like. Maybe calling in some gratitude into your energetic space. I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here and for sharing your love and your light with me. The light and the love within me honors and loves the love and the light within each of you. So I appreciate you all so much. Namaste and have a great day. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday the 13th. I hope you guys are staying safe out there, and I love you all so much. Can't wait to see you next week. Bye.